I wonder if you are like me. Sometimes I find it a little bit tricky to get involved in business with other people, especially because business can go very sour, and the other people could be family, could be friends, could be that person that you say was deep in your heart. And then because you cannot get to an understanding of what this business should look like, your friendship goes sour, the family ties go awry, and all sorts of stuff happens. So, in today's video, I'm really going to be talking about 3 tips that I believe is important for anyone that is considering partnerships, particularly investing in property with the partner. And why I say particularly investing in property with the partner, because property investment is a long term strategy. So you're going to be in this particular business for a hot minute. Yes, you could argue the point, well, I'll just do a flip with them, meaning I'll buy, I'll renovate, and I'll sell a property. But just think about 1 year in a relationship that you may not like. It may just be long term for you. But getting back to perspective. Welcome to my channel. My name is Genevieve Stafford Jack. And the first thing that I'd love for us to unpack in today's video is contracts. When we get into a partnership, let's consider a contract with this particular individual, right? Why would I say that? Because there are certain components that keep this contract going and keep us true within this particular contract, right? And one of the things in this particular contract would be something I like to call exit and entry criteria. What will you bring into the partnership? What will I bring into the partnership? How could we make this partnership work in a glorious type of manner? So, in investing or property investment, you'll find that there's strategies like joint ventures. You'll find somebody doesn't have much time, but they've got money or access to money. Other times you'll find that there's some people that just don't have money, but they've got time and they come together. And this is how we made our first deal work. I'll stick up the link to that particular video so that you can have a look-see after this video. So I find it very interesting that when you go in with entry and exit criteria, you're able to start talking about, is it a 50-50 partnership? Is it a 60-40? What dynamics make it a 50-50? What dynamics would make it a 30-40? You know, the one thing that I've heard people say before is that, you know what, that person doesn't have money. Why would you even consider a 50-50 transaction with them? Because they need the money. And then I've heard others say, well, that person has got the money. They don't even have the skill. They don't even understand the skill, but they want to get involved in there. They ask so many questions that education could actually fix. Why would you want to get into partnership with that? You know what I believe? The bottom line is that if we've got things to put onto the table, whether it be property investing education and you've got no money, or you've got money but no property education, or sometimes you've got property education and you've got money but you don't have time, somewhere along the line, you are going to be putting these different resources on the table so that the partnership can work for you. Because, I mean, what is a deal without the money? But then you could question, what is the money without the deal? So, again, the entry and exit criteria are something that you really need to consider. The other thing that you may need to consider, what if somebody meets an untimely death during this process, and the somebody that does meet that untimely death is actually the person funding the deal? How will you handle the transaction when they're supposed to press the pay button and they are no longer here? So that entry and exit criteria is important to consider. Like, flip, what would I actually do if I'm on the edge where the pay button needs to be pressed and that person is no longer here? So I find that exit and entry criteria are really, really important when you get into partnerships, particularly to state in your contract. The second top tip I believe is important: when you are buying property, buy it in a company name. Because you know what happens? You buy in a personal name. And going back to having not explained your entry and exit criteria, right? And then this person decides they're going to leave their one and only child responsible for everything that they started, because after all, we're doing this in the name of legacy. I want to leave a legacy for my children. So they go and they leave it to this one and only child, and maybe that child is irresponsible. Maybe that person is just like, whatever, I'm going to spend the money because my parent left it for me and they love me and they want me to have a good life, and then they don't take the best possible options for you and the business. What then? So your company name is another layer to protect you, because you're going into this partnership understanding what you're bringing to the partnership. But when you're signing the offer to purchase, you are going in with a company name, because again, there's a what in this company? There's going to be something called a memorandum of understanding in terms of how is it that we are going to handle this particular business as a partnership. So definitely things to consider, like, oh my days, I so need to understand the rules of engagement around investing in property with a partner. Oh my days, I need to so understand the rules of engagement in all of these different things that we'll be doing. And I find it really, really important that we need to be aware of these things, because of where we're going, paired up with property investing is for the long haul. It's not an overnight thing, right? Now, the third, and I believe also a little bit of an interesting factor, is property education. Okay. And the reason I say property education, every time I go through group coaching or coaching people one on one, do you know what I find? People question, why do you have a coach? People question, why do you have the investment? Not why? Because if you can go to YouTube and it's free, which is true, but how much can you learn for free that's structured? And the one reason, and one and only reason that I put it up here, I say this: property education, like any other education, is structure. All the information on the World Wide Web is free. You can go and Google anything that you want, but when you don't know the blueprint of where you're going to, what will you be Googling? What will you be YouTubing? What if you've gone into enough webinars to hear any sort of structure that comes out of a sales pitch? What if you've listened to enough YouTube videos to start pointing things together? How would you know you've reached the end goal in understanding the foundation of property when you actually haven't had a structure? Recently, a student of mine had said to me, you know what, Jen, I am over the partnership that has barely begun. Because every time I speak to my partner, they get shocked with the information, like, yo, how did you know this? How come this? How come that? This is interesting. 1.5 hours later, I'm rapping about all the things that I've been learning in your advanced training and coaching, and they're so excited, and yet they don't see me as a significant party coming to the party with something tangible. And then when I sit down and I fold my arms and I ask that same business partner to put the return on investment money down, market comparables, and all sorts of research down that they've done, they don't know how to do it, yet they do not respect property education. So on this third tip, I really want to say that when you're going into any partnership, make sure that you and your partner have got the right mindset, but also understand that the two of you have got the training or the coaching with structure. Because remember, guys, training just offers you structure, and it will take you to maybe 1 or 2 levels of, yo, I didn't know that. But you will always know, to a large degree, I'm taking it for granted, the overview of a certain process. You will know the overview of how this should happen or how that should happen. But when you get to the nuts and bolts, often that's where people choke up and they're like, what should I do? How come should I do it? And in the partnership, sometimes your tool to leverage that partnership is your property education. Why? Because your partner's got money and don't know what to do with that money specifically and has such a fear of losing that money. And you, coming into this partnership, can show your partner. Let's go through this line by line. Let's go and find a property. See how I speak to a property. Let's do market research on this property that we're looking for and where we're going to. And these are the tools I use to help bring out facts, not assumptions, not could be's or should be's, but facts. And of course, within reason, because you're going to be doing a lot of things and you're going to put your numbers down conservatively and really understand. And when it clicks to the next person, this is how we make money from day one. Property education will take on a new look to that particular person. And I always find that one of the most fascinating things. And why would I find that fascinating? Because aspiring property investors, or those that have got a vested interest within property, they tend to ask lots of questions. And this is where I believe the playlist that I've just created about questions that aspiring property investors ask may just be the thing you're looking for to say, yeah, maybe my question is amongst those questions to be answered. So, will you click into this playlist and go through the videos that are there to see whether they answer the questions that you have a burning desire to know? So, will I see you over here in this particular playlist? Yes, here. Absolutely here. I'll see you. Why are you still here? Do you still want to listen to me some more? Of course, you will be able to jump into this particular playlist, and I'll see you here.